And we're alive. Welcome to this hour with me. I'm Dame Lillian Walker. Betsy and Carol, thanks for joining in. I want to start off this broadcast with sharing with you a statistic that I think you might be kind of surprised to hear about. So let me see if I can find this here and I can share with you. Yep, here it is. Okay, so let me share this with you. A little. Oh, good grief. Where's my here we go. So, and I'll tell you in a minute what prompted me to Google this. So it says here, what percent of Americans have high blood pressure? And it says here, when you Google this, about 70%, that's 7 out of 10 people. So 7 out of 10 Americans, or 70% of Americans, will have high blood pressure in their lifetimes. What's more, only 1 in 4 patients with hypertension have their blood pressure under control. Only 25% of the people who have high blood pressure have that blood pressure under control. And because high blood pressure usually has no symptoms, you can have it without knowing it. So why am I bringing this up to you? Let me share another interesting factoid, because if you look here, the other thing that I looked up was, well, maybe it's not going to show it this time. Let's see, what percentage of Americans have pain? And when you do this Google search, it says almost 21% of the US population, that would be 1 in 5 people. That's 51.6 million adults live with chronic pain, defined as pain lasting more than 3 months. Of those, 17.1 million live with high impact chronic pain that substantially restricts their ability to work or participate in daily activities. So why am I bringing this up to you? Well, my mom just informed me that we got her off of gabapentin in the first year that we put her on these phototherapy patches. And recently, not too long ago, just a few months ago, they took her off of metoprolol because she no longer has high blood pressure. She no longer has a high pulse rate, and she's doing much better. Now, when she started, she had a few things that her body had to overcome because she was recovering from a diagnosis of breast cancer. That was a breast as well as a lymph node, and didn't have to have chemo or radiation. She had a lumpectomy done and 1 node removed, and did not have to have chemo or radiation. We also, she was also suffering with shingles, and she had very large open sores along her spine that were very, very painful. Anyone who's had shingles knows how horrible. Any kind of nerve pain is really, really bad. And so she was probably at that time on about 5 meds, of which gabapentin, naproxen, metoprolol. I want to list the other meds, but those were, I really wanted to get her off of the gabapentin really quickly, because that is, it was a pain med that was not effective for her. And that's very, very hard on your liver and your kidneys. And she's a little person. Even if you're a big person, you know, a toxin is a toxin is a toxin. Toxins are not good for the body. And the other thing was metoprolol, and she no longer has high blood pressure. She no longer has any pain. She has 0 pain. She hasn't had any pain in the better part of over a year. Now, after she had been on the patches, she has an incredible story, because she is now 88 years old. And after being on the patches for a year, just, oh my gosh, thank goodness that we got her on the patches when we did, because she's been living in the same home for almost 40 years. She was going down the stairs and she ended up twisting her right ankle and she fell. Well, most of you know what happens to most people over 70 who fall. Most people over 70 who fall not only break a hip, sometimes they break both hips, and sometimes they break an arm or both arms. They usually break multiple bones. Well, she had been diagnosed 5 years prior with osteoporosis. And I'm so glad to let you know that although she twisted her ankle, she sprained her ankle, and she missed the last 3 steps and landed on the porcelain tile on her left shin. And I'm so glad to report she did not break a bone. She did not have even a hairline fracture on any bones anywhere on her body. And she recovered from that pretty quickly. And I'm just happy to say that we got her out of pain in that same first week, in the first few days that we had her on the patches. She had some discomfort because of the swelling, and she had a lot of blood under the tissue because she landed on that shin bone. And there's, as you know, that hit the tile. And so she had that bruising, which is just accumulated blood under the skin, under the surface of the skin, right? But how monumental for someone to be 88 years old and to no longer be on metoprolol and to no longer be taking gabapentin for pain and not having to take some of the naproxen that she was also taking for some arthritis that she felt. She actually had an injury in her right shoulder from over 15 years ago, from when she was a nursery school director, and she had a child that pulled her, and she ended up with not nursemaid's elbow, but it ended up dislocating her shoulder. And so that was something that after she recovered from that injury and then she had therapy, she still had, years later, she still had discomfort and bothersome pain for that. And the doctor had said that she had some osteoarthritis from that. And so she no longer takes naproxen for any of those things. So she's down to like just one med now. And hopefully in the next whatever time frame, we don't know how long it'll take, but in the next year, hopefully she will get off of that med as well, and she will continue to be happy and healthy because she is not having any kind of pain. So I wanted to share that with you just to give you hope, to encourage you, to let you know that it is possible at any age to have improvement. Just on the 30th of August, we had my oldest patient, who's 101 years old now. She is doing good on the patches. She had a little fall. So, of course, we had to do some patch placement on her. But all things, it's possible to get things going in the right direction where things are getting infinitely better instead of things having to take a turn for the worse when we have this cellular activation that is going to be activated because you're wearing this little FDA compliant class 1 medical device. So I want to start off. Betsy, do you have any questions that I can answer? We're going to keep this to 30 minutes. We'll be out of here by 2:30. It's happy Friday to you guys all. Carol, thank you, my beautiful co-host. She's always here, very supportive, and my co-host helping. I know that Carol also used to be on metoprolol, and she's no longer on metoprolol as well, and is improving and getting better as well. Betsy, do you have a question? Oh, I'm going to ask you to unmute. It's great to see you, by the way.
Thank you. Great to see you too. We've talked about the Happy Five or the Fabulous Five.
Fantastic Five.
And when I was going through and making up a month's worth of little packets that I do, I was reading some of the literature, and the carnosine, and particularly, isn't something that I'm supposed to be using daily according to the literature that comes with the patches.
Yeah, and I don't know why that. Yeah, I don't know why that it says that, because David has addressed that, because several people have brought that to his attention, and that's something that needs to be corrected, because in the studies, people wore the patches every day.
Okay.
And I've been wearing all of the patches every day. My parents have been wearing the patches every day. Pretty much everybody that I have on the patches that are on the Evolve team, as well as the smaller, more intimate group where we have a few hundred people, everyone wears the patches for the most part every day. The only exception, there's always exceptions, right? So for example, I had a gentleman who I have lately quite a few people who have either kidney stents or kidney dialysis, where they go 3 times a week. And so when I start someone who has that type of compromise with their kidneys, we don't start all 5 patches at once, because their kidneys are already having a bit of a struggle. So we start off just with the mother cell activation patch first, which is the 39. I'm going to show you this. This is on a dark background so that you can see it against the white background.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And you can put them in a strip in a row, or you could put them in a circle, depending on what your circumstances. So, for example, this one particular person, this would be 39. So for the first 3 days, I advised him, I said, let's start with just the mother cell activation patch, the 39. Let's see how you do the first 3 days. I want to hear from you every day. So I want to know, you're doing dialysis Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, whether it's doesn't matter, because he travels a lot. So he's in 3 or 4 states multiple times a week. So, and he goes to dialysis centers in multiple states. So I said, I want to hear from you, and I want to hear how you're feeling, how you're sleeping in the first 24, the first 48, the first 72. For the most part, I talked to him pretty much every day. So after the first 3 days, he was feeling phenomenal. He was feeling great. And this has a 30% uptick in glutathione per the research studies and per the patents and so forth. So then we moved him on. I said, okay, it's day number 4. Let's go ahead and add X49, the daughter cell activation patch. That increases muscle mass and strength. It increases your bone density. It also helps a bit with your cardiovascular system. It's not a comprehensive, but it does help the cardiovascular system, the 49. And then it also gives you radiation poisoning relief,
protection,
which we all need, right? Especially in this. So then he did 3 days of that. We continued to monitor him. He didn't have any flu-ish-like symptoms. Some of the symptoms of detox are similar to the flu, where you feel slow, sluggish, a little drained, might get a headache, depending on how many toxins are in the body, depending on how many medications you're on, depending on whether you eat TV dinners and a lot of processed foods with a lot of dyes and chemicals and preservatives, or you eat a really clean organic diet. There's so many different factors that determine the number of toxins. So it's very difficult to say how many toxins each individual has. All we can do is monitor how you're responding, to wearing the patches. The patches can't hurt you because it's always repairing and restoring your original cells, and it's turning on your original blueprint. But I want to see how the body is responding, and if we need to wear it a little less hours or make any kind of adjustments, then we can do that. So then we added 49. Then instead of going to glutathione, which is normally the 3rd patch that boosts your immune system, and it is the master detoxifier, because the next 3 patches are master antioxidants. So rather than do glutathione next, we went straight to carnosine. So carnosine is all things related to heart and muscle. That patch has to do with your cardiovascular system, your memory, your focus, and your brain processing speed, because as long as you have a good pump electrically and cardiovascularly in terms of the plumbing being clear, then you get the proper oxygenation to the brain. So you have clear mental focus, clarity, cognitive function, and the speed with which you can pull memories out, long, short, medium, is going to be efficient because you have a good pump. If you have a compromise in your heart, then of course you're going to have issues with the brain. So this patch is going to make sure that integrity is maintained or restored if it has been lost. Then in his case, instead of putting Eon last, Eon was his 4th patch, which is the master anti-inflammatory patch. He kept on responding well and just getting better and better, and he's feeling great. His sleep was just solid. He said he kept from day 1, after the first 24 hours, he said, wow, I slept solid last night. Some of the discomfort that I normally have that wakes me up didn't have any discomfort. And so just every 3 days, we kept on adding a new patch until the last patch for him was glutathione. And then I told him, okay, this is the 5th of the patches that we're going to put on you. I want you to pay attention how you feel in the first hour. And if after an hour, you don't really notice anything, then pay attention after 3 hours, 4 hours. If after 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever number of hours, you start to feel a little slow, or you feel a little sluggish, or like your energy is being drained, or you maybe a mild headache or anything to that effect, then you might want to take the patch off. Just if your instincts tell you keep it on, keep it on. But if it resonates with you to take it off, then by all means take it off, even if it's only been 8 or 9 hours and you haven't completed the 12 hours. Take it off. And in his case, he had apparently enough cellular reparation where his body responded really well to increasing his immune system 300 to 600% and getting that big uptick of antiviral protection. And then also, because glutathione is found in every nerve, it's part of what builds nerves throughout your entire body, because glutathione, your brain signals your liver to manufacture it, and then your liver distributes glutathione through your bloodstream to every organ and every muscle of the body. And so his body was just totally embraced it. So in his 3rd week of wearing the patches, he was at dialysis like he normally is. And in his case, it's really awesome that every time people go for dialysis, they get blood work done. It's like part of the process of getting dialysis. They take a look at your blood and then they put you on dialysis. They take your vitals, they do like a whole workup. So we're able to see the improvement in his numbers every time he's going for dialysis 3 times a week.
Fabulous.
In the 3rd week, the exciting thing that he reported to me, because as soon as he left the dialysis center, he was pretty jazzed. And he called me up. He's like, Lillian, I have a new development. I can't wait to tell you about it. So we got on the phone and he said, you're not going to believe this. He goes, this is my 3rd week on the patches. And normally after I have dialysis, my blood pressure is really high. So I normally have to hang out I have to wait 45 minutes, an hour, hour and 15, whatever length of time until my blood pressure starts to get within a more safe range. And then the doctor then lets me go. He goes, this time I was done with dialysis. And the doctor said, wow. He goes, your blood pressure is normal. You can go now. And he's like, wow. He goes, that's
wonderful.
A big difference. Not to mention, he's a businessman. So he says that's a tremendous savings of time, because when he's there in dialysis, there's not a whole lot you can do other than, go through dialysis. And now he didn't have to wait another 45 minutes to an hour. He could actually take off. So he was thrilled. And in that 3rd week, then he was traveling to Hawaii, and he was meeting up with his board members who hadn't seen him for two whole months, because every 2 months they meet. And he said that as soon as they saw him, he said he wasn't going to say anything about the patches to anyone. He's just going to wait a little longer until he's got, a larger amount of evidence about his situation. But all of them were like, what are you doing differently? Your skin, it looks so much better. We can tell that you have more energy. What's going on? And then he said, he just kind of chuckled. He's like, well, I started on these phototherapy patches. And so immediately then, of course, 1,000 questions began, and several of his members immediately on the spot, they're like, we need to get those ordered for ourselves. And the rest is kind of history. So I'm just sharing that with you guys so that you understand, everybody's circumstance, everybody's body is unique, just like a thumbprint. So when I started, even though I had brain damage, I had, compromise of short-term memory, I had other, neurological conditions kind of going on. I was able to easily accept all 5 patches. And then in that 1st week, I added evening time, I added Alavita, and then I added energy enhancer. And so my body was like fine with any of that stuff. So there's always exceptions with certain people, depending on what they've got going on. And so I tell people, pay attention to your body. If you feel that there's one particular patch that maybe you need to remove, which is why it's helpful if you always put the patches on in the same order. Like you always say, okay, I always put, because I have an issue, and I've got lots of people with eye issues going on. So maybe you always use carnosine here and Eon over here. Well, because you put 39 and 49 and then carnosine, Eon, and your glutathione, maybe add somebody who had tinnitus, so their glutathione is under their left earlobe instead of the right. When you put them on in the same order, you'll know which patch is which, right? Because you're always doing things in the same order. And that's more for yourself than for anybody else, because if you have to take something off, you'll know what you're taking off. Usually you don't have to take them off, but every now and then there are cases where people have to take them off, either because, like, for example, I had a carnosine patch that I put on my thymus the first 2 days that I was on the patch. And after 2 days, I could not stand that. There was, toxins are coming out because it's the first couple of days on the patches. So I started getting like red and itchy under the patches, and I kept on scratching, and I kept on scratching and kept on scratching. And then the first day wasn't too bad, but the second day was more because, more toxins are surfacing and it's getting caught under the adhesive. The rest of my skin, I have no rash, but right under the adhesive, it's getting trapped. And so, it's getting a little red and a little itchy. So I was like, the patches weren't getting around the body. So I took it off my thymus gland right here in the center of my chest. And then I just put all 5 of them. I just added it to the bottom of my spine and continued forward.
Okay. That helps. Thank you. You parenthetically said something about using carnosine for the ringing in the ears. I had read somewhere about someone that had used energy enhancer under both ears, and I've been doing that for probably almost a couple months now. And I think maybe it's not quite as loud, but I still have the tinnitus. So tell me about the other one, the carnosine, or do you know other tricks for other things?
Yeah, so other recommendations I'm going to share with you because I had somebody who actually, a friend of mine, she reached out to me for a specific person, and I said, yeah, and I put a little graphic together, and then I went ahead and I put it in our Telegram group. I'm gonna
good. I can look.
I figured I may as well do it for the group, the benefit of everybody.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you. I can find it faster. Oh, here it is. Okay, now I can share this. There you go. And share screen. Okay. So this is, I only showed the ear because everybody knows where the neck bump is, but here in this diagram, and this is a recommendation, it's not a protocol. This is where I recommend based on trial and error and what I've seen that worked for people. By the way, energy enhancer does work pretty good for tinnitus or tinnitus, which is ringing in ears. I used to have I had horrible tinnitus. Thank goodness I don't have it anymore. But what I recommend is that you take your X39 and X49 and you place it on your neck bump, which is that governing vessel 14, that base of your neck, the top of your spine. And then you're going to take glutathione, carnosine, and eon. And under your right ear, you'll put glutathione right under this right earlobe, just where you're putting your energy enhancer.
Okay.
Glutathione there. You're going to put carnosine in front of this little bump is called a tragus. You're going to put it right in front of that.
Yeah.
Carnosine. And then eon would be under your other earlobe.
Oh, okay.
And then see how that does. And you could still wear energy enhancer. You could put energy enhancer because you're working on the tinnitus. I would tell you to either put energy enhancer either on the back of your neck. If you touch your neck, in the middle is where your spine is. On each side of your neck, probably about 2 to 3 fingers to the left and to the right, tan on left, white on right. You could put energy enhancer. Those are some pretty neat, pretty powerful acupuncture points too. And it's pull and push the energy to still enhance the energy, to move the energy faster in your body, to do this reparation even quicker, improve your heart rate variability, and regulate your lymphatic system. So I would put that there.
Okay. Wonderful. Yeah, thank you. I did. I took a screenshot of that. So
okay, good. You have that now.
Yep,
Well,
I
I'm glad I'm
do.
able to answer these questions for you. I see you have
Thank
an
you.
adorable little cherub there.
My granddaughter, Rosie, is just waking up.
Oh, I love her strawberry blonde hair.
Yeah,
She's a ginger.
yeah. Oh, she is. Her mama's a straight redhead, and she looks like that's what she is too.
Oh,
Yeah.
how precious, how precious.
Yes,
Oh,
she is. Yep. I'm blessed to be able to play with her on Monday and Friday.
oh, you're so lucky. Well, let
Yeah.
me know. Are there any other questions that you have at this time?
No, that was it. And I thought, I I trust what you have researched and studied. And so I would rather go with what you're telling me than what old books are telling me or anything.
Yeah, and it's a matter of like I pay attention. I'm really big on paying attention to patterns that work with people. They're
Yeah.
not protocols, but they are recommendations and advisements based on what I'm seeing that are resulting in people. And I'm also noticing larger patterns in terms of anything that's related to the brain, to the
Yeah.
eyes, to the nose. Like people have sinus infections and things like that. If you kind of just have the mental picture, if you will, of knowing that you have to encircle the head with the five, whether you're using 5 patches, which is a
Oh, okay.
fantastic 5, and
Uh-huh.
energy enhancer, you can think of X39, 49 at the
Thank
base.
you.
Then you could do glutathione, carnosine, eon, or glutathione, carnosine, and eon under the other ear. And then
Uh-huh.
energy enhancer, like I said, on either side. Now you're encircling the head.
I'm circling it. Yeah.
And so
Perfect.
now you're lighting everything up so that energy is activation is immediately starting there. And then
Uh-huh.
it's going to work systemically, but it's going to recognize, oh, there's some kind of compromise with the nerves of the ear. That's why, your master smart cells, your stem cells, they don't know that the result is that you're experiencing tinnitus because they don't go by labels. They just know that the vibration is off for these particular nerves, and this is not the original state of these nerves. There's damage there, so it needs to be repaired. Anything that's damaged, it's their job to replace it.
Repair. Yeah.
Remodeling crew to do that. So
Yeah.
any damage that you have now in the head, it's going to go ahead and take care of that.
Yeah. Great.
Okay, so
Yeah.
just
Thank you.
as a rule of thumb. All right.
Yeah.
Any other questions? It's so good to see you again, by the way, Betsy and
Oh, it's
Carol.
wonderful to see you. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereabouts are you?
I'm up in Hayden, Idaho.
In
Oh
Idaho.
my goodness. I lived in Sun Valley for 40 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's beautiful up here. We've been having a marvelous summer. Yep.
Idaho's a beautiful state.
It's been a long
is.
time since I've been to Idaho myself. When my kids were younger, we went to a friend's ranch in Idaho and had a blast. And our friend's aunt would make like homemade maple syrup.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, whoa. Like, so for
Uh-huh.
breakfast, they made pancakes and it's like homemade maple syrup. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. They make their own maple syrup. I was like, and that's what got me into buying organic maple syrup because it was so vastly different.
So different. Yeah, absolutely.
And then I learned, oh, there's great, when you buy Aunt Jemima, it's just Aunt Jemima.
Oh, yeah.
And when I had that, I realized, oh, when you get organic maple syrup, that's like the real stuff. There's grade A, there's grade B organic maple syrup. Oh my gosh, there's all these vitamins and amino acids and vitamin B. Oh,
yeah.
And it's a great sugar substitute. So many people don't know you can substitute, sugar that you would put in your coffee or whatever. You could substitute it with organic maple syrup, and it has a low glycemic index. So people who are diabetics are going to be okay with that. And you're getting vitamin Bs and you're getting amino acids, which is like,
yeah, it's just fabulous. Well, tell you what, if you ever have a chance and want to come up to Idaho, we've got guest rooms, so we'd love to have you.
I might pick you up on that.
You should go, Lillian. It is a fabulous state. It's fabulous there.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, what? I'll have to take you up in 2025. I
would love that.
That would be awesome.
Yep. Yes, absolutely.
All right. Okay, my beautiful friends and gems, it's the bottom of the half hour here, so we're gonna go. And
I have a quick question.
oh,
Jane,
go ahead.
Jane Mao is scheduled for hip surgery, but she just got her patches now again. So she was hopefully going to get on today, but she needs to talk with you, about where.
I will call her because I know we've had so many people who needed hip surgery, and they, so I'll go ahead and I'll reach out to her and we'll get her squared away.
Thank you very much. She will greatly appreciate it.
Thanks for letting me know about Jane Ma, and you guys have a fantastic Friday.
Thank you. Will do. You too. Blessings to you.
Blessings to you too. This has been my happy hour.
Yeah, great.